Hello, and welcome to another Oregon Housing and Community Services training. Today's lesson is the Reservation Letter Acceptance Training. Your reservation letter was mailed out on August 24th. As we progress through this training, we'll build the path to construction close, which will start on the next slide. There are 4 key areas which must be satisfied to move to construction close: the general conditions of your reservation, more specific pre-closing conditions. We'll talk briefly about the core development conditions, and then program-specific conditions. These relate to the various funds your project may have going into it. Toward the end, we'll cover key forms and provide you with useful links to find them, and finally, a few last-minute reminders before we go. The path to construction close begins with OHCS's general conditions. There are a few key areas here we'd like to cover. Under general conditions, the first requirement is to review your reservation conditions letter and return it signed within 15 days of the date listed on the letter itself. Second, you need to submit payment for charges associated with the reservation you've received. This amount can be located in the NOFA, or your assigned loan officer can help you if you have questions. Third item, we expect you to schedule a conference call with your loan officer within 5 days of signing and returning your reservation letter. The fourth item should be easy and is very important. You are expected to communicate in writing any material changes that affect the project. You should communicate these changes early on. As a general good practice, it is better to over-communicate or communicate when in doubt than it is to assume a change is not material and learn later that it was. Too often we see a situation that could have been mitigated but was not informed until it was too late. Here are a few examples of material changes. If your project changes the number of buildings or units, or there is a change in the project's total cost, or if the operating revenue or expenses for the project change more than 10%. Please keep in mind that OHCS does not consider emailed or faxed copies of the reservation conditions letter as valid submissions. We require an original penned signature returned to the department. Also, OHCS will attempt to respond within 30 days of any material change notice given to the department. As stated under general conditions, schedule a conference call with your loan officer within 5 days of executing and returning your reservation condition letter. Then, within 30 days, schedule your first business partner call, including your loan officer. Within 15 days of signing and returning your reservation conditions letter, submit the status of all non-OHCS sources of funding you listed in Part 4.3 of the NOFA, Financial Assumptions. Prepare to make a habit of submitting monthly progress reports to your OHCS loan officer. Your first report is due on September 10th and on the 10th of each month thereafter. Core Development Conditions, or CDCs, is a new section of the reservation letter, dedicated to project requirements that are most closely associated with the core development activities of the project. Core development activities are those aspects of the project that typically fall within the project task categories of due diligence, project planning, project design, and construction administration. Reservation Letter CDCs and the department's Project Development Manual, or the PDM, are closely linked. Both of these core development-focused documents must be carefully reviewed by key project team members, including the project architect, to ensure that all core development expectations of the department are addressed. Active project team engagement with the department on core development conditions is a fundamental component of maintaining appropriate project accountability to the public and maintaining funding eligibility. Most core development conditions have a deliverable and timeline associated with them. Meeting the established timelines is critical to the department's functions in assisting the project team with maintaining funding eligibility. For conditions that may not have a definitive timeline or deliverable, the project team must confirm with the department's loan officer that they have satisfied the loan officer's expectations for that item. Project team engagement and performance on all applicable core development conditions is a key factor in the department's project quality assessment. Questions and comments regarding the applicability, submittal timing, or any other aspect of the reservation letter CDCs should be directed to the OHCS loan officer assigned to the project. Next, we'll talk over program-specific requirements, starting with the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program. OHCS requires that you submit letters of intent from your investors within 14 days of issuance. Provide OHCS with a market study within 90 days of the reservation conditions letter date, and submit a carryover agreement application provided by OHCS by November 1st of 2019 if the project will not be placed in service before December 31st of 2019. A little about carryover. A carryover agreement is an exception. The code assumes that the project will be placed in service within 12 months, which doesn't always happen. For projects that receive a forward commitment of 2019 credits but are not able to place the property in service during 2019, a carryover allocation may be awarded if more than 10% of the property's reasonably anticipated basis is incurred by the taxpayer within 12 months from the date of the reservation. Passing the 10% test allows the partnership to postpone the project placed in service date to the end of the second calendar year after the reservation year. Lastly, projects need to reach construction close within 240 days of the issuance date listed on the reservation conditions letter. I will briefly discuss a few important conditions that apply to the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Housing Trust Fund Program. There are many similarities in these two federal sources. First, you are required to read all project requirements as defined in the Home and HTF manuals. It is critically important to be aware that you should not undertake any choice-limiting action or activity that could limit the project to the specific site, including site acquisition, physical development activities, demolition, or construction work on the site. Doing so will jeopardize an award of Home or HTF funds to the project. For example, the execution of a legally binding agreement committing funds to a specific site, or the use of non-HUD funds on actions that would have an adverse impact on the site. For example, demolition, dredging, filling, or excavating. HUD prohibits these choice-limiting actions prior to the receipt of environmental clearance. Doing so will result in the project becoming ineligible for Home or HTF funding, regardless of what funding source is used to pay for those activities. You need to build time into the project schedule to allow the NEPA review to complete prior to making any physical change to the site, including acquisition. Now we'll cover the Oregon Affordable Housing Tax Credit Program. This program was passed by the legislature in 1989, and the program is unique to Oregon. No other state provides a tax credit in quite the same manner. This tax credit incentivizes lenders to reduce the interest rate on loans provided to affordable housing. It provides a state income tax credit to lenders making the loans to affordable housing property owners. The lender participates by agreeing to reduce the interest rate on an affordable housing loan by up to 4% for a maximum of 20 years. In return, the lender may claim a state income tax credit. For this program, you should be aware that you must submit a commitment of financing for the amount of the loan from a permit lender. The commitment needs must state that the lender agrees to use the OAHTC program. Remember to satisfy all conditions related to the OAHTC allocation listed on your reservation conditions letter, and read the program manual as it pertains to your project. In covering the General Housing Account Program, or GHAP, review the program's manual as it relates to your project and review any program-specific requirements for your project in the reservation conditions letter. One specific item of note is to be aware of the Subsidy Unit Allocation equation in the GHAP manual. This equation factors the number of units in your project that must be tied to the restrictive conditions required under GHAP. You can find forms, guidance, and program manuals by heading to our agency's website. Start by typing oregon.gov/OHCS. You can navigate to find what you're looking for or use the keyword search assistant located in the top right corner. And contact your OHCS loan officer for assistance. They can guide you to regions of our site to help you find the resources you need there. Here are a few last key reminders. The reservation of funds is conditional, and all conditions must be met to be considered for an award of funds. All conditions listed in the reservation condition letter must be met 30 days prior to any release of resource funding. 2. Any changes need to be discussed and approved by OHCS. When in doubt, always contact your OHCS loan officer. 3. Reservations can be revoked for lack of performance or infractions of regulations. Construction close must be met within 240 days. Again, OHCS does not accept emailed or faxed copies of the reservation conditions letter. We require original signatures only. Thank you for watching this video. Your OHCS loan officer is your primary contact at OHCS. Listed here is contact information for program staff at OHCS. Congratulations on your reservation, and we appreciate your efforts in helping us provide clean, safe, and affordable housing for Oregonians.